Hey guys, Nate here from Pop's Culture Shop, bringing you a Dragon Ball Z deck tech. Today we're talking about Blue Ginyu. So, Blue Ginyu is obviously a very controlling deck. You wouldn't want to play this deck if you enjoy having answers to what your opponent's doing, and also if you like overwhelming your opponent and putting like a critical mass of allies onto the battlefield. So we're going to start off by going over our main personality, which is Ginyu. In this deck, you won't really go off level 1 very much because there's not very many ways to raise your anger outside of like playing Jiece and using his attack. But Ginyu's level 1 is a power. It's an energy attack costing 3 stages, damage at 4 life cards. You can search your life deck for an ally and place it into play at 4 stages above 0. And if it hits, you can choose one of your allies in play. That ally can make actions regardless of your MP's power stages this combat. So usually you're entering combat in the first or second turn, and you're going and getting either a Guldo or a Jiece. And that's usually the main role of the deck. If we do get to level 2, which will usually mean the game's going pretty late because we're only ever gaining 1 anger at a time if we are gaining anger at all. His level 2 is an energy attack costing 2 stages. The damage is 4 life cards, and you can search your discard pile for an ally, place it into play 5 stages above 0. You raise your anger X levels, where X is the number of your Ginyu Force allies in play. So level 2 is pretty good if we can get there in a late game. 3 and 4 we don't usually have to worry about in this deck because we don't get there very often. But his level 3 is a floating ability where your Ginyu Force allies may make actions regardless of your MP's power stages, and they cannot be discarded. All of your attacks deal plus 2 life cards of damage. Obviously good, but focus of the deck is not to get there. And his level 4, floating effect, your allies may make actions regardless of your MP's power stage, and they cannot be discarded. All of your attacks deal plus X life cards of damage, where X equals the number of allies you have in play when you perform that attack. So, Ginyu's the man. Really good main personality for this deck. Next we're going to go over the mastery we're using, Blue Mastery. One of the more popular masteries in this set, right next to Black, very powerful. Blue Mastery, its power is you may discard a physical combat card from your hand to stop an energy attack, or discard an energy combat from your hand to stop a physical attack. If you discarded a blue styled card, you can raise or lower a player's anger 1 level. So we're usually using that to control our opponent, lower their anger 1 level. Also, your opponent needs to get to 6 anger to advance a personality level. So, very good for a control style. So we just talked about Ginyu. So let's talk about his force. Here comes the Ginyu Force. The 2 most powerful allies in this deck, I would say, are Jiece and Guldo. Usually what we're getting to start the game off. Jiece is an energy attack costing 2 stages and it's 5 life cards. Raise a player's anger 1 level. So obviously we're raising our anger 1, which I think that's one of the only ways to raise our anger in the deck. Guldo is a power block. You can stop a physical or energy attack, and your attacks deal plus 2 stages and plus 2 life cards of damage this combat. So those are our main guys. Guldo's really great. He's an omni block. Jiece is also really good. He's usually our way that we're closing out the game. Quick note, in the new rule change update with set 3, if we're on Ginyu level 1 and we hit with his attack, it says you can choose an ally in play and it can make actions regardless of Ginyu's power stages. If you have Guldo in play, you can still choose Guldo, but he can't use his power because they changed the rules so blocking isn't an action anymore. It's kind of weird, but just letting you guys know that's how that works. And then our other 2 Ginyu Force that we're running are Burter. All of your attacks deal plus 2 stages of damage because we have Guldo, or we have Guldo. We have Ginyu as our main personality. Then Recoome is a physical attack costing no stages. So, just another beater. There's 4 of the allies we use, and here's the rest of the clan. We'll start with Dr. Wheelo. He's out of the new set 3, and his power, we're trying him out. It's banish him, and you can choose an ally driller set up in play and shuffle it into its owner's life deck. Seems pretty good for this control deck. Dodoria, you can capture a Dragon Ball, and then you banish him at the next action. Nappa, setups can't be used, very important for this control deck. Vegeta, he's kind of just a filler because we actually end up searching out a lot of allies, and we kind of end up whiffing towards the end of the game because we have so many allies in the deck. So really, he just says your physical attacks deal +1 stage of damage, and he's a spot to soak up some physical attacks from your opponent. And Frieza is also very important against Namekian Piccolo or any type of Namekian style deck. Really, life card damage from attacks is banished, so they don't get to rejuvenate. We just talked about some of the allies that we're using. So next we're going to go over our different ways to search for our allies. And we have some very powerful cards to search for our allies. So we'll start off with Overpowering Attack, which is probably one of the best cards in the deck. It's an energy attack for 2 stages, 5 life cards, and you can search your life deck or discard pile for an ally and place it into play 5 stages above 0. Run 3 of those. Blue Taming Technique and Blue Battle Readiness do about the same thing. They're a setup, they have a power, search your life deck for an ally and place it into play. Battle Readiness, the ally comes in at 3. Taming Technique, the ally comes in at 4. The difference is their second ability. Blue Battle Readiness, you can also search your discard pile for an ally and place it into play 3 stages above 0. So you can get one from the deck and from your discard. And Taming Technique, you can discard a setup, so if you get stuck on a bad combat, you can discard a setup and put it directly into play, which is great if you lay this on an early turn, then your opponent enters combat on you. You can discard another setup and then also use that in combat. Blue Terror, great blue card, every blue deck is running it. Energy attack, 2 stages, 3 life cards, and then you can search your life deck for a non-Dragon Ball card and place it into play, or place it in your hand, not into play. Next we'll go over the Dragon Balls that we're running in the deck. We have our main control Dragon Balls, which are 2, 4, and 6, basic for any control deck. 2 says that you can lower a personality 1 level. 4 says that you can destroy up to 2 setups of drills. 6 says your PR is +3 and your opponent's attacks deal -2 stages of damage. Great against black, great against Saiyan. Pretty important card for the deck. We're playing Dragon Ball 1 because any way we have to buff an attack is really great in this deck, because the only way to win is through life card damage. We're not winning through most powerful personality victory, and we don't have all the Dragon Balls, so we won't win that way. So what we're doing is we're trying to build up all the allies on our battlefield and then attack for enough to kill our opponent. So Dragon Ball 1 gives us +1 life card on all of our attacks, and 7 is just great. You get to choose 3 cards from your discard, put them on top of your deck, and then your opponent destroys 3. Really great card. Then we went to Dragon Radar. We can search our life deck for any of our Dragon Balls. Great in a control deck because you can search for one of the control Dragon Balls, whatever you need situationally. Alright, so next we're going to go over the blocks that we run in our deck. Because we're running the Blue Mastery, we can use our attacks as blocks as well. So really we're only interested in blocks that have great effects or blocks that are Omni blocks. So obviously we're running Time as a Warrior's Tool, Omni block. Blue Farewell is great in a Ginyu style blue deck because you can shuffle, if you're in a bad combat, you can shuffle an ally in your deck. You can keep progressing your board, but your opponent can't deal any damage to you this combat. Blue Shifting Maneuver, pretty great card out of set 2. It's got Endurance 2, and it's an Omni block, and if your anger is 3 or higher, you discard it instead of banishing it after use. So you can actually rejuvenate it, get your endurance back, maybe get it back in your deck. Really great Omni block for this deck. Earlier I talked about Overpowering Attack being one of the better cards in the deck. So Blue Narrow Escape is an energy of combat, so we can discard it to our mastery to block a physical attack, or we can just use it to block an energy attack like it's supposed to be used for. It also has an effect that we can choose 2 energy combats in our discard and place them on top of our life deck. So we're usually doing that. Overpowering Attack, getting an ally, then blocking their attack, Blue Narrow Escape, get the Overpowering Attack back, and then keep going from there. Next we have 3 Stare Downs, really important in a control deck. What can I say? You look at an opponent's hand, choose a card, and they discard it. So it's great for trying to break up a combo, or really just for anything. A card that's pretty important that I don't see very many blue decks running right now is Blue Fear. It's an event, and it has a power use a critical damage effect. I can discard a card from my hand if I do draw a card. We're not really interested in the second effect so much as we are just having a random crit whenever we need it, because the weakness in this deck is not being able to capture Dragon Balls and not being able to kill other allies. So Blue Fear is really a catch-all. It's very good in this deck. It's really good against the Ginyu Mirror, so we can kill their allies whenever we need to. Blinding Energy move and Blue Head Knock. Blinding Energy move, it's only limit 2 per deck, so we play as many as we can. It's energy attack for 3 life cards. You have to banish 2 off your life deck to play it, but at the beginning of the next action you end combat, so it's great for getting out of bad combats that your opponent entered. Blue Head Knock, really a staple for this deck. Physical attack for 5 life cards, so later game it can hit for upwards of 7 to 10, and then its second effect is lower your opponent's anger to 0, so that's really great. We really like Blue Head Knock in this blue deck because we're trying to tax their anger as much as we can. Blue Head Knock just fits that theme perfectly. Next we'll talk about Blue Draining Blast and Blue Necmeeb. Blue Draining Blast is really important in the earlier stages of the game. It says it's an energy attack for 4 life cards, and the personality performing it may pay any amount of stages. For every 2 they paid, it deals +1 life card. So we're really using it to take Ginyu either from 2 to 0 or 4 to 0, so our allies can make attacks. And also it's just a powerful attack outside of that. Blue Neck Beam, really a staple for blue decks. It's an energy attack for 2 stages, and it's 4 life cards. If it hits, you raise or lower an opponent's MP 1 personality level at the end of combat. So if your opponent's getting out of control, maybe they're getting up in red or Saiyan, and they're getting some more powerful effects from their main personality, you can drop this and take them back down. Next we're going to bring the pain with Captain Ginyu's Pain. We run a full playset of these guys. There's a lot of variance between Ginyu decks, whether they should run a full playset or not, but I really like it since we're running a heavy life card damage. So what it says is a setup, and you can destroy the top X cards of your opponent's life deck, where X is the number of allies in your discard and banish zone. So it's later game, your opponent's been killing your allies all game. You can use this effect and hit them for big amounts of life card damage. Really great. Villainous Visage is a staple for any villain deck, really. To set up, limit 1 per deck. Use after you take damage from an attack, your opponent destroys the top X cards of his life deck, where X equals twice the amount of life card damage that attack dealt. A really great card, really great setup. We love to play that in this control deck. And then last but not least, we've got 6 more cards. Visiting the Past, really great card, staple. You want to run it in any Dragon Ball Z deck you're playing. It's limit 2 per deck, banish after use. Power, when entering combat, search your discard pile for a card and place it in your hand. If you have 3 or more cards in your hand, place a card from your hand at the bottom of your life deck. So if you're looking to put together a certain combo out of this deck, which this deck can have a lot between overpowering attacks and different types of blocks you might need, this is a great card. You drop it, enter combat, and then you can get a card back. And then we run 2 blue lifting drill and 2 blue biting drill. They're great. They buff our attacks late game when we're trying to close something out. Blue biting drill says your attacks deal +2 power stages of damage, and when a card effect lowers your opponent's anger, and his anger is already 0, he destroys the top card of his life deck. Really good for pushing damage. Blue lifting drill says your attacks deal +1 life card of damage. Whenever one of your attacks is stopped, lower your opponent's anger 1 level. So those are just both really good cards for pushing damage. And we run 2 of each because we don't want to run the full playset, because you can't have, obviously you can't have 2 of the same draw at the same time, and they go away if we go up or down, or if we go up a personality. So I hope you guys like this deck type, Blue Ginyu. It's one of my more competitive decks, I would say. It's very strong. It does very well against red decks, and it's pretty good against the rest of the meta. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tune in later. We'll be putting up some more videos, and see you guys next time.